Hi everyone. Today we're going to be talking about something that should be a full chapter in the big book of BS about Etsy that you hear and you don't think it's true, but then you hear it enough times that you think it might be true and it confuses you. Okay, so the big book of BS is basically a lot of the information that you hear online about Etsy. But we're talking about titles today. So you're listing titles. I'm just going to go through a whole bunch of stuff and say this is basically how to write a title. The first thing I want to say is it is not hard to write a listing title, or it shouldn't be hard. You don't have to overthink this. Everybody overthinks this so much, and it's painful to watch because people think that there's a formula. There's no formula. Basically, you have to tell the person who's reading the title, not the search engine, tell the person who is reading the title what the thing is. Just say, what is it? Because I've seen a lot of Etsy titles where people have thrown in all kinds of different keywords, gift for her, gift for mom. And I've used this type of example before, but like you could have an Etsy title that says, best spa day gift for her, Mother's Day present, gift for women, and you don't know what the thing is. What is it? It could be, I don't even know. It's the kind of thing that you are trying to jam as many keywords as you think are good into the title, but you don't tell people what it is. And remember that you need to write for the customer first. That's the main thing. Write for the customer, and you can put keywords in a title that makes sense so that the search engine can read it and see what the item is. But you need to write for the customer. And I think people are so worried about kind of tricking the search engine into putting your listing first, which that's not what the title does. But they forget that there's a person on the other end of it. So just write in sentences that are easy to read. You never want to confuse people. You don't want to just put stacks of keywords in there. That 10 years ago that did work on Etsy. It's not the best practice now. Just write what the thing is. And this is the same whether you have a Go Imagine shop or a website, or you're selling on eBay, or you're selling on Amazon. Just say what the thing is. For God's sake, it's not that hard. Okay, so that's the first thing. Now, as far as adding keywords, you do want to write so that the search engine can, know what the thing is based on the title, because the title is always the most important part of your SEO as far as telling the search engine what this page is about, because we're looking at a page on the website, and that's what the search engine is looking at. So when you're writing for the search engine, you can put keywords in that you have researched, and you should be researching keywords because that's the first sweep. Etsy search works in two sweeps. First, they go and they look to find things that are relevant matches to whatever that person typed in, and that's called a search query. When someone types something into the search bar, that's the search query. So when I say that in this video, that's what I mean. So Etsy's trying to match listings to the search query. And based on the way that people phrase things or the way that they describe things, different listings are going to match based on the keywords that are in the listing. Let's say that I have a long keyword that I found on Marmalade that's a great long tail keyword. It actually has good search and engagement and a lot of, low competition. You do need to write for the search engine, but just write it in a way that kind of flows naturally. And if you can't, just put that in at the end of the title, because the search engine reads the entire title. All right, now there is some kind of a myth going around, and this goes around all the time, especially about Google, that search engines only look at the first part of the title. That's not true. They look at the whole thing, and the way that this comes about, I think the way that people think that this is true, is that Google only displays, in Etsy, they only display the first part of the title under the listing. But Etsy has said in the past that they don't weight the first part of the title more than the end. They go through the whole title and tags and they look for keywords in different places, and they will bring that listing up in search results if it's a relevant match. What happens after that is the ranking, and that's a different thing. You need to use the whole space of the title, and you need to write in a natural way so that people can read it. It's not hard to do, and just put your keywords in. And honestly, if you have to throw in a weirdly structured keyword, just put it at the end of the title. It's not a big deal. That exact word order match might help you in the first sweep when Etsy's looking for the most relevant matches. It might not. There's nothing guaranteed. Nothing is guaranteed about this, but if you're clearly telling the customer and the search engine what your item is by using relevant keywords in the title and tags, then you're going to be fine. Now, I did mention that Google reads the whole thing. Okay, we're talking about Etsy SEO here. Etsy also reads the whole thing. Go Imagine also reads the whole thing. To prove this to people, because I know that there are going to be people who say, that's not true. It only reads the first part. Blah, you have to have it short, whatever. I don't care. Look, I put the words random nonsense at the very end of a title for one of my silicone molds yesterday because I figured that's something that no one on Etsy is going to have. So today I came in and typed in random nonsense silicone mold. And this is the listing. So it's coming up. Let's look at it. And at the very end of the title, it says random nonsense. Okay, so Etsy is reading the whole title. It is bringing this back on the first page of search results. So let's not say that they don't read the whole title. Now, as far as the search engines reading the whole title, that is true. But like we said, they only display that first part. So you want to make sure that the most descriptive and important keywords for your customer is right up at the front so that it shows underneath the listing photo. And that's for the customer. That's not a search engine thing because like I said, they'll find things in many places. They'll find things at the end of your title. They'll find things in your tags. They hop around and mix and match. It's not necessary that you have everything in the exact order, but put the most important at the front for the customer. You want the customer to see that. The other thing that I hear people say is that you should never repeat a keyword, and that is complete crap. I mean, if sometimes you have to repeat a keyword if you want to make a coherent sentence. So it's okay to do that. It's better if you can put a variety of keywords in, but if you have to repeat a keyword somewhere in your title, it's not going to kill your listing. It'll be fine. Don't worry about it. It's more important to write in a coherent way than it is to worry about counting words and never repeating the same keyword twice, especially if you're talking about different listings. And this is a really weird one that I hear some people say you should never use the same keywords in titles for different listings in your shops. What? I mean, that makes absolutely no sense. Because if you're selling things that are similar, you're going to have to use the same keyword. For example, let's say I have a shop that's full of bracelets. Am I only supposed to use the word bracelet in one listing and then find something else for the other ones? That makes no sense. Don't worry about that advice. It's terrible. Ignore it. If someone tells you that, then just don't even listen to them anymore. It's also okay to use punctuation in titles. And this just makes me laugh when people say search engines stop when they see a period. They don't read anything past that. Really? No, that's not true. And you can use periods, you can use commas, you can use pipes, you can use slashes, you can use whatever you want. Etsy sees that as an empty space. And a period doesn't stop a search engine from going further down that line. They see the whole page. Oh my God, that's the worst advice ever. Just ignore that completely and write in a sentence with grammatically correct punctuation so that people read it in a flowing manner and they don't have to stop and say, what the heck did I just read? Because that's what you don't want. You want people to be able to read things and understand it without having to stop and think about it. Now, I mentioned this before, but the one thing that I think that people really don't understand is that it's not necessary to have things in the exact word order to match whatever the search query was. And when I do keyword lists, and I sell these in my digital shop on Etsy, and I have keywords where you'll get the same keyword like rearranged. So it'll be party favors for adults, adult party favors, favors for party for adults, just different ways to say the same thing. As long as you have the best version of that. And for me, that would be the way that most people would probably type that into the search bar. And that's where your keyword research comes in. So what you would do is go and search those and see which one has the most engagement, which one has the most searches. And then you have to make the decision about which one of those versions to put in your title. But once you have it in, you're still going to be found for the other versions of it. And when you see that type of repetition in a keyword list, it just means that a lot of people are searching for that. It doesn't tell you this version is better than this version. It just means that there's a lot of searches for that. So you should make a note of that and use that phrase in some way in your title. But having the exact word order does not guarantee that you're going to be right up at the top of the search, because that's not how Etsy search works. And there's a lot more factors that go into it. It could mean, if you do have the exact word order match, that Etsy will see you as more relevant when they go in and choose the listings that they're going to rank. And Etsy's search is a two-part process. The first thing is they go in, when someone types something into the search bar, they go into all the listings on Etsy and they say which ones are the most 1,000 most relevant keywords for this search query. And then after that, they rank them. So just because you're chosen for that first sweep, it doesn't mean that you're going to be ranked at the top, but it does mean that you get ranked. And that's good. So having the exact word order match is important if you can, but it's not required. The last thing is that you shouldn't be in there changing your SEO all the time. And I see people post about this in my Facebook group. I work on my SEO all the time. I'm always updating my titles and tags. Don't do that. Write your titles and tags and then walk away and let it sit for at least a couple of weeks at minimum, if not longer. Because as long as you have a good descriptive title, you have tags that are accurately describing the listing, you don't need to worry about it after that. Just walk away. And if you keep coming back in and changing things, then the search engine has to come in and look at that listing again, because it's going to, maybe you change the one thing that it was finding the listing for. You don't know. So just write a good, accurate title and walk away. So don't overthink your titles. Just write something that's coherent, walk away, make sure you do some keyword research to try to find the best word order match. But it's not that hard. And people try to make it hard to make you think that they have a secret formula. There is no secret formula. Okay, just be accurate and write for people first. You'll be fine. Give this video a thumbs up, and next time I will talk about tags. So make sure you subscribe, and I will be back next week with more.